You are listening to Blessed and Bossed Up, presented by Anchored Media, an entrepreneurship podcast for Christians all about how to make God the CEO of your business. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, but well-equipped to live and build your destiny His way. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Blessed and Bossed Up podcast. I am excited for today's episode because we are going to be talking about something that I love, and that's AI, artificial intelligence. A couple of years ago, it's so funny, a friend of mine was telling me, and this was around the time where ChatGPT first came out, and she was telling me about it. She was like, you got to use ChatGPT. It does this, it does that. And I just could not wrap my mind around it. I had a lot going on. I'm like, girl, I don't even have the capacity to try to understand what it is you're saying to me right now. You might as well be speaking French. But when I got the space and I started playing around with it and seeing what this particular tool could do, it really just sparked my interest in the way that technology has grown and advanced over the years. I mean, things that you used to have to pay a person for, you can now get done quicker and cheaper by using technology. To be fair, that could be problematic in some ways, in the ways that AI may be stealing jobs, or people in certain industries may not be employable anymore because of the advancement of technology. But to be honest, the world is always going to grow and advance, and we should be ready to grow and advance with it. Now, we're going to be talking about AI today from the standpoint of what does that mean for us as Christian entrepreneurs. I've spoken to people in faith-based settings where they're like, oh, this is the devil. I remember around the time where Facebook changed its name to Meta, and there was these conversations about the metaverse, about augmented reality and virtual reality and all of these things, and how they were trying to create this alternative universe. And I remember there were people in Christian settings a lot of times like, oh, AI is the devil. All of this that's happening with technology is the devil. I'll talk to people even today. I remember I was in class recently and my professor was having us use AI to write a complaint to be filed in court. And he was very accepting and open to the fact that AI is here to stay. It can enhance whoever in whatever profession, but for us trying to enter into the legal profession, he wanted us to get used to using it and also get used to fact checking it so that whenever we do use it to aid in our work, we're able to make sure that we're using it ethically and responsibly. And so, of course, this sparks a big conversation amongst my classmates because oftentimes when it comes to using AI for work product, especially in the legal profession, it's really in the negative sense. You have attorneys that are sanctioned because they're relying too much on AI and it's hallucinating cases, and which means just making up cases that don't exist. You have other people who may be students where you're getting marked for plagiarism because you're using AI tools. There are all types of AI detectors now. And it's so funny because as a student, I use the AI detectors to make sure that nobody thinks I'm using AI when I'm not. So it's like there's so much confusion around it from the practical sense to the spiritual sense. And a lot of people say, oh, I hate AI because of whatever. If you're one of those people who thinks it's the devil or you dislike it and you want to stay away from it, this episode is for you. If you're one of those people who use it maybe too much and rely on it too much, I mean, there's some very problematic implications here where one of the top ways that people use, let's say ChatGPT in particular, is for therapy. That's problematic. You shouldn't be talking to a bot or to an artificial system about your emotional, mental, spiritual health. That's an issue, right? So we have folks who may be on either side of the spectrum. And on today's episode, I want to just bring you into a sober conversation and also an encouraging conversation, because I believe, based on some research that we're going to discuss today, there's some exciting news as it relates to how AI has shifted the market and what that means for us as Christian entrepreneurs. So before we get into that, let's part for a second to really understand what artificial intelligence is. Because there are a lot of misconceptions out there. And I don't know how many people actually sit and do research to fully understand what it is that's going on besides your limited information on it. So when we say AI, most of the time people think of ChatGPT or that viral bot that writes your emails, but that's only one aspect of artificial intelligence. AI isn't something that is emerging. It's something that is already here and that's fully integrated into our everyday life and things that we interact with. So whether you want to avoid it or you don't like it or not, it's here to stay and you're probably already using it without even realizing it. So let's start with a definition. AI are simply computers that learn from examples so that they can predict, decide, or create things without being explicitly told how to do every step. So every time you are engaging online, every time you're typing into, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, Google Gemini, whatever platform you're on, and most websites where we go to have an AI component that is just sitting there learning and researching people's behavior so that they can create and do things for us without being told exactly what to do. So they're trained software on that is trained by lots of data so that it could be able to help with different tasks. Here's some examples on ways in which we use it every day and you may not know. The obvious one, of course, is Google. When you go to type something into Google, it most of the time will manually fill in what you're looking for. It predicts. So when you look for how to, or let's say restaurants, the next set of words will probably say near me. Or if you say how to, it will then begin to populate some predictions about what you're looking for based upon its learning of people's behavior and search habits every single day. When you go to your phone and you're texting friends, that autocorrect, those suggestions, that is your phone using AI to learn your typing patterns, learning the way that you speak, learning how you spell things, and it's going to autocorrect and make suggestions. I know for my phone, my daughter's name has accent marks in it. So when I go to write her name without the accent marks, my phone automatically will autocorrect it to that spelling because it knows who I'm talking about and how her name is spelled, even if I don't feel like taking the extra steps to add the accent marks. So it's learning your typing patterns and what you say. It's not just making sure you spell things right anymore. It's making sure that you are being consistent in typing things that it is used to you saying. When you go to Spotify or YouTube, those playlists and recommendations that it's referring you to are not random. When you go to YouTube, that recommendations that's showing you all these different videos and podcasts and things that shorts that it wants you to look at, those are results based upon or recommendations based upon AI learning your taste, your patterns of behavior, the things that make you comment. The algorithm has gotten to know you, and now it is recommending things based upon your interests. If you use a bank, which most of us do, I don't know how you don't have a bank in 2026. AI is used in banking because it spots patterns that don't look like you and flags them. So if you go out of town somewhere and you didn't tell your bank, it's probably going to flag your purchase because they're like, hold on, sis is usually in DC. Now she's in Mexico. What's happening? Fraud. Is going to flag it as fraud. I remember one time I went shopping for Christmas and I spent a lot of money back to back going in different stores. And my bank sent me a text and they just stopped my card altogether and was like, hey, we got a fraud detection because you've used your card way too many times within a short period of time. And I don't usually spend money that way. So the pattern that I was doing was outside of what was usual for me. So it flagged me. Again, that's AI getting to know how I spend. So when something is abnormal, it could let me know about it. When you check your email, there's spam filters. AI will learn what is junk, what is advertisements, and it'll keep it out your inbox. If you you have Gmail. If you log into Gmail, it'll separate your email from the general to promotions to social. And so it's filtering through your email and categorizing it accordingly. Things that are from unusual senders or things that you don't usually open start to get filed a certain way because it knows your behavior. So again, you don't need to be a ChatGPT user for you to be someone who utilizes AI. It's already everywhere. And I'll make this point because again, we can't run from it. We can't act all noble. Oh, I don't mess with AI because of whatever reason. It's the devil or whatever you tell yourself to make yourself feel good about being behind. That's not wise. This is where the world is going. And so we need to understand that it is here and we need to use wisdom on how to engage with the times responsibly. And as Christians, responsibly doesn't mean just logically or practically, but it also means in using these things and embracing them with the wisdom that can only come from the Holy Spirit. So let's keep on the education tip for a second and talk about the different types of AI. So you have AI that recognizes stuff. So when you go to your phone and you hold it up and it scans your face to unlock, that's AI. If you are taking a picture of something, like if you have an iPhone and you go to your photos, it will start recognizing people's faces and organizing it, and you can kind of name the person. So my phone has a profile for my husband, my parents, my sister, my grandparents, people that I'm with regularly and take pictures of regularly. It tries to have pictures of my kids or profiles for my kids, but they look the same, especially when they're babies. So that's all messed up, but it's trying. But they have this object recognition or facial recognition right within your phone. That's AI. For those who use voice to text, that is AI. When you're dictating on your phone, that is still artificial intelligence. Another category is you have AI that predicts or recommends. So that's what we were talking about with YouTube or Spotify. Those recommendations when you're scrolling on social media and you see these specific ads that are happening. The technology has paid attention to your patterns of behavior and the type of things that you may click on to add to cart, the type of things that you comment on, the type of products that you may send to a loved one. And so now your advertising recommendations start to be more catered towards your behavior. Same with like Netflix. My Netflix algorithm knows me real good. And so if you are on Netflix or Hulu or whatever streaming platform you may watch shows on, it'll start to suggest and recommend your next show. That is using AI. Of course, we also have AI that generates content. I started using, what's it called, in Canva recently because I was doing some shorts for my podcast and I wanted to take this back catalog of all these audio episodes I had and repurpose it as the sound to different shorts to run on my YouTube channel because I was testing some things out. And I was able to go into Canva and just import my audio. One, I used a different audio or different AI software to chop up the audio episodes into complete thoughts and to complete sound bites. I bring that over to Canva and then I can go into Canva and have it recommend or generate the B-roll that I add the audio on top of. And so that allows me to be more efficient with content creating. I have to set up my tripod and go and record myself walking into a room or sitting at my desk or setting up my microphone. I didn't have to do all of that. I'm able to use AI to generate these things for me and get them done quicker, faster, and cheaper. Other generative AI tools will write emails for you, create images and videos, write any type of text or captions for your content. You see that in a lot of the content creation tools where you will upload something to, let's say, scheduled out on Instagram, and it will auto generate hashtags, captions, things of that nature. So we see AI most often, I feel like now, generating different content. This episode is brought to you by Trust and Will. One of my favorite scriptures is a wise man leaves an inheritance for their children's children. As I've been growing my business and building my family, I often think about legacy, securing that legacy so that my children and my children's children will be taken care of. Now, when we pass on our faith, our family, and our legacy, it can be protected with Trust and Will's online estate planning. Trust and Will makes it easy to safeguard your children's future with a stronger, smarter estate plan. Grief is hard enough, but Trust and Will gives you and your loved ones that much needed peace of mind. They also keep families connected through generational planning. And what I love most about Trust and Will is that such a huge task is made so simple. You can create a will plan in as little as 30 minutes to protect guardianship of children, pets, asset distribution, and healthcare directives. Trust and Will products are state specific, attorney designed, and customized to your needs. Protect your legacy and your loved ones today, tomorrow, and beyond with Trust and Will, the most trusted name in online estate planning. Go to trustandwill.com/blessed and get 20% off. That's trustandwill.com/blessed to get your 20% off. Trustandwill.com/blessed. This episode is brought to you by IXL. It's February, it's mid-semester, and it's that stretch of the school year where your routines are already set, expectations are higher, and schoolwork starts to feel more demanding. IXL helps kids stay confident and consistent as the semester picks up speed. IXL is an award-winning online learning platform that helps kids truly understand what they're learning, whether they're building math confidence, strengthening reading and writing skills, or reviewing science concepts. It covers math, language arts, science, and social studies from pre-K all the way up until 12th grade, with personalized interactive content that adapts to each child's level and pace. It's an easy way to support learning as the school year moves into the most important stretch. Y'all know I love IXL. I have a extremely gifted son, and one of the things that we've been doing on IXL more recently is they've been able to connect his high test scores from his school standardized test into the IXL platform so that his content is more engaging, it's challenging, it's meeting him right at his gifted level and also challenging him to do more. And best of all, it's so easy to get him to do his IXL assignments because it's fun. It's like a game to him. And so it's a win-win for us as a household. One subscription to IXL covers everything, pre-K through 12th grade for all the kids in your home. 1 hour of tutoring can cost more than an entire month of IXL. Make an impact on your child's learning. Get IXL now. And Blessed and Bossed Up listeners can get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when they sign up today at IXL.com. Use offer code TODAY. Visit IXL.com to get the most effective learning program out there at the best price. This episode is brought to you by NerdWallet. It is extremely difficult to get lending as a small business owner. Big banks, a lot of the times, will say no. When you search the internet, there are these sketchy offers with super high interest rate and fine print that you can barely read. So whether you need help covering payroll, managing cash flow, or investing in the growth of your business, you deserve better. And that's why I recommend the small business marketplace Fundera, which is powered by NerdWallet. It's a free, easy-to-use platform that lets you compare real financing offers from trusted lenders all in one place. What I like is that you don't need perfect credit to get started. No spam, no bait and switch, just personalized options that fit your business needs. If I was looking for a small business loan right now, this is what I'd use. And here's the best part. For a limited time, when you visit nerdwallet.com/blessed and fill out a no obligation form, you'll get VIP treatment and talk with a real person who knows the ins and outs of small business lending. Don't risk your business on unreliable lenders. Go to nerdwallet.com/blessed to find the funding that you deserve. Fundera Inc., NMLS, ID number 1240038. Another category is we have AI that acts like an assistant. So that's where you see Google Gemini a lot. There are a lot of different AI assistants, but they have these schedulers that help you book meetings, that will send and schedule emails for you. There are so many different ways in which we see AI present itself. And so again, I'm breaking this down because I want you to have a full understanding on what exactly it is so that we can be able to use it wisely. And again, ChatGPT is not all of AI. It is one example of generative AI. It is not the whole world. It's honestly not even the best. I've been using it a lot for the last couple of years, but I'm actually looking to transition off into a different AI software because ChatGPT just is a yes man. And it be wrong a lot. A lot. I remember there was this funny video that I saw on TikTok today, and the guy was acting like how ChatGPT speaks back to you. And so he entered this prompt that said, "I just abandoned my wife and kids." And he responded like ChatGPT saying, "Wow, that is so brave of you. The fact that you can admit that shows that you have a level of self-awareness." Like all of this affirmation in response to this foolish prompt. Like this person just said they abandoned their wife and kids and you're sitting there telling them how brave they are. Like, be for real. But that's how the platform is. And so me personally, I want something that's a little bit more mature, for lack of a better word, and is able to do more nuanced and deeper tasks, and one that I'm going to always have to correct any type of AI. But ChatGPT, you have to correct it for some very silly things that a technology software should already know. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that ChatGPT is only one example of generative AI. It is not the whole world of AI. So if you have beef with that platform in particular, your beef is probably very valid. But don't write off a whole technological advancement because of one specific platform. I wanted to do some research when I was putting my notes together for this because I wanted to know how widespread is AI now and how do people feel about it. So what I found is that about 2/3 of people worldwide say that AI will affect daily life a lot in the next few years. AI at work is rising. More people use tools like chatbots, writing helpers, and code assistants. Younger adults report higher use every day. So now instead of Googling, people will go straight to AI. Instead of brainstorming, they'll go straight to their AI platform of choice. And I do this often myself. I know with our studio, we have this area called the lounge. It's this really beautiful room within Anchored Media Studios. And I had this vision in my head. I'm like, man, we could really turn this into a space where people could have like a sit down birthday dinner, seated like, let's say 10 people on like a long rectangular table. And I can see it in my head, but I needed to visualize it. One, to talk to my business partner about it, but also so that we could start working to bring it to life and see what actually it will take. So I had went into Google Gemini and I uploaded a picture of the room, and I was like totally draped this room in and set it up as if I wanted to see it as a birthday dinner, and I wanted to see it as like a micro wedding venue. And it was able to show me both. And I was able to send that to my business partner, and it actually gave me some other ideas on how to use the room. And so now we're getting ready to partner with someone who's doing a dinner series. We are now able to bring that to life with their dinner series within the studio. But AI allowed me to take something that I was seeing in my head and allow me to see it in this photo to then use for business. And a lot of people are doing that now instead of like Googling things or going to these other platforms. Studies are also showing that AI isn't niche tech anymore. It's already a part of how tools and apps work for most people. And we've talked about the ways in which we see that. Many people, let's talk about what people think about it, because many of you may fall into this category. Many people want the benefits of AI. You want those helpful tools, but also feel cautious or unsure about it, which is fair. And we should be cautious of technology. Studies show AI experts tend to be more optimistic than the general public, who are more worried about risks than benefits. A global study showed that people are using and noticing AI, but also expressing concern about trust and understanding it fully. So the story here about AI is not black or white. People obviously want the helpfulness of it, but are unsure about its impact on information, on jobs, on control. I also believe that there are a lot of security issues. Like the foundations of the platform, as we discussed, is supposed to learn your behavior and everybody else's behavior in order to grow and be more effective. But a part of us talking to these platforms and utilizing them so much is we're giving a lot of our information. I mean, I know that some people will use it to even interpret different reports from the doctor's office. And so this now has your medical information, your address, all of these important data points we're just freely giving away to these softwares. There are some disadvancement. I actually want to do a episode on this when I have time to fully research. I know TikTok recently sold to a US company because remember, Trump didn't want TikTok owned by a Chinese company because of the influence that it has in the United States. So they forced its sale. And there was a period where TikTok just totally went away for like 36 hours. And they extended their deadline for them to sell. And then more recently, they sold to a U.S. company. And within that sale, though, came some changes to their terms and conditions. And I want to do some research on that because I want to talk about it here on the show because there are a lot of you who have TikToks or create on TikToks for your businesses or for just growing your brand. And I want to make sure that we're utilizing these platforms with full understanding of what we're agreeing to based on our conduct and behavior. But nevertheless, there are a lot of, in my opinion, concerns that I have about the security of these platforms. So there are certain apps. There was one that was very tempting to me, but I have a lot of reservations about it, where there's this platform that will create a AI version of you. They call it like your AI twin, where it will study different photos of you and it'll create videos and images and talking heads as if that was you speaking. And for me on one end, I'm like, man, this is great. I could have this AI twin, I don't know, record a whole podcast or a YouTube video using my ideas and the things I wanted to say, but I ain't got to sit there and talk for an hour. Or I don't have to sit and beat my face and do all the prep that goes into visually showing up somewhere. I kind of like that. I kind of like that idea. It feels efficient. However, I have pause about lending my likeness to these platforms, and I am unsure because to be clear, have not looked into this yet, which is why I haven't used it yet, because I want to make an informed decision about how I engage with certain platforms. I don't like the idea of me giving these platforms the permission to manipulate my likeness. Because then what if these platforms want to then use that likeness to put my voice and image to say and do something that I didn't necessarily say or do? That's just going to come back on me. So I don't like that. And the way that technology is also moving a lot faster than laws and regulations. And I personally don't want to be in a case book that law students 10 years from now are going to read. I read some of these cases in the books that I'm studying in school, and how a lot of these cases have created like the foundation for certain laws, and it's set that precedent that is now used to make or to have judicial opinions and rulings ever since. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be in a case book, Iomi K versus and such AI used her image to do something wild online and she sued them, and now this is the law that's come from that. No, I'm good. I'm good. I don't want that. I need these laws to catch up, and then I can decide how I want to engage and how I can engage in a way that protects what's valuable to me. And what's valuable to me is my intellectual property, my likeness, my image, and all the things. Now, here is where AI is headed. Most organizations are now using AI in some way, which is a huge jump from just a few years ago. And this matters because AI is moving from experimental tools to business tools that people actually depend on every day. So, for example, healthcare executives are already experimenting with or using generative AI to assist in different operational tasks. Lawyers are already using AI, some with questionable ethics, but some are already using it to draft memos and motions and complaints and things. Educators are using it to come up with lesson plans and activities and tests and worksheets and all types of things for students of all levels. And the industry itself is growing extremely rapidly and is worth hundreds of $billions today and projected to grow by much more by the end of this decade. So think about the internet for those who can remember in the 1990s. We barely understood the internet at first. I remember when I was growing up, we had a computer in a common area. AOL dial-up was on, where you had to use an Ethernet cord. The internet wasn't wireless. You had to plug the Ethernet cord up into the wall, plug it into your computer, cut the computer on from the base, the big base part of the computer. Because now I have these I have an iMac that I'm recording on right now, but we have these nice iMacs and different desktops and such that don't have those big bases that you cut the computer off for with the floppy disk and the CD insert or there. But back where I was growing up, that's what we had. And so when you logged on to dial-up, you couldn't even use your phone. You couldn't talk on the phone and use the internet at the same time. And I'll log on and be on the internet and the AOL chat rooms and all types of stuff. It was this new thing, this new phenomenon that we were a part of, that we didn't fully understand, but it became a part of everything that we do. And it is the same thing for us today with AI. You may not have understood it at first. I didn't understand it when my friend was trying to tell me all of what was happening in this space. But now it's a part of everything that I do. And it's a part of everything we all do, whether we realize it or not. So now that we see AI just isn't about ChatGPT, that is already shaping how we research, how we create, how we support customers, how we make decisions. The question is, how do we, as Christian entrepreneurs, steward where we are in the world with wisdom and with faith? Because these are the times that we're living in. It will be foolish for us to go and hide in a corner and shame this whole technological advancement as the devil. That would be foolish. It would also be foolish for us to get swept into the times and not still being sensitive to the Holy Spirit and dependent on the Holy Spirit above all. So how we engage needs to be in such a way where it is wise. Remember, we talked about wisdom as we wrapped up the Charles Stanley book in the last episode. So there are a couple points that I want to make for how we can move and utilize AI with the wisdom that the Lord wants us to have. First things first, especially when it comes to you using AI for any type of spiritual matters. Use AI for labor and not for revelation. It is very easy to go to Claude, ChatGPT, Google, Gemini, whatever, and be like, hey, what does the Bible say about? Or to say, hey, what does this scripture mean? That is a huge mistake and it is dangerous. You should not be using it for revelation. I would even say you shouldn't be using it to get clarity on anything that the Lord gives you in prayer for your business. Because when it comes to building a business God's way, He doesn't just want to give you the instruction. He also wants to give you the details on how to build what He's downloaded into your heart. So if the Lord says, hey, start a business, I don't think you need to then go to AI and say, how do I start a business? God told me to start a clothing brand. What do I do first? Those are questions that you need to take back to the Lord in prayer, because how the Lord wants you to build it matters just as much as what He wants you to build. And the second you start using these AI tools for revelation and clarity versus going straight to the source, you make yourself susceptible to being outside of the will of God. You make yourself susceptible to building things that He never told you to build in the first place. You make yourself susceptible to the manipulation of the enemy because you're allowing external forces to influence how God's business is done. That's a problem. So these platforms are not for revelation. They're not for clarity. They're not for simplifying something that you don't understand. You need to take that back to the Lord first. Now, if the Lord says, hey, I want you to start a clothing brand and I want you to start with a t-shirt line, then you can go to AI and say, hey, generate for me a foundational budget with startup cost for me to start a clothing line with t-shirt as our flagship product. You could use it for something like that. Now it has generated for you a spreadsheet that you could populate some numbers into to help guide how much you need to save or get in funding to start this business. That's taking care of some labor for you without you using it as your God. It's very easy for these tools to become idols unknowingly. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. It's February, so it's that time where we'll see all the flowers, the candy, the chocolate, the grand romantic gestures, and the couple's goals. And sometimes it could feel like everybody else has it all together when it comes to their love lives. But whether you're married, dating, or single, the truth is many of us are still figuring it out and finding our way. And no matter where you are in your romantic journey, therapy can help you find your way, help you determine what you want, what feels heavy, and how you can take some pressure off of yourself. BetterHelp has quality therapists. Their therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the United States. BetterHelp does the initial matching for you so you can focus on your therapy goals. A short questionnaire helps identify your needs and preferences, and over 12 plus years of experience in industry leading match fulfillment rates means that they typically get it right on the first time. And if you aren't happy with your match, you can switch to a different therapist from any of their tailored recommendations. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com. That's better, HELP.com. This episode is brought to you by one of my favorite brands as a mom of three, Bobby's. Bobby's USDA organic, European-inspired infant formulas were created by moms who couldn't find a formula that met their standards, so they decided to make one themselves. Like the moms who started Bobby, I found it so difficult by the time I had my second son to find formula that met the clean label standards that I was looking for. I had used other brands in the past with my oldest son, but I was not satisfied at all. I couldn't pronounce some of the things on the label. I wasn't confident that I was giving my son the best nutrition, and it was very frustrating. And that led me down the rabbit hole of finding a better formula. And that's how I actually came across Bobby. I love that they had a full suite of recipes along with their certifications. They were USDA organic, EU organic, Clean Label Project Purity Award, and Clean Label Project Certified Pesticide Free. They had awards such as their Baby List's 2025 Top Choices Organic Formula and being named a 2025 Top Choice by Consumer Reports. As a mom who combo fed, I also loved how inclusive they were, and they supported all feeding journeys, whether breastfeeding, combo feeding, or exclusively using formula. So, after all of this research, I knew that Bobby was the formula that I wanted to use with my children. And best of all, my son loved it. We didn't have all of the issues that we had with previous brands. And now that I have a new baby, I know that should I ever need or want to use formula, Bobby will be my go to any of their products. If you want to feed with confidence too, head to hibobby.com. That's hibobby.com to find the formula trusted by parents and loved by their babies, 700,000 and counting. This episode is brought to you by Marley Spoon. Every year, I make these goals to get better with my meal planning, but something always goes awry because my life just needs flexibility. So, what finally clicked for me is that I realized that meals don't have to look one specific way, they just have to fit your life. That's what Marley Spoon does really well. What I love is that Marley Spoon actually adapts with you. Some nights you cook, some nights you heat, and some nights you just need dinner done really fast. They've got options for all of it, so that means it fits your schedule, not the other way around. Now, I'm a foodie, so flavor and variety is a must for me. And what I love is that they give you over 100 recipes to choose from each week. We're talking comforting classics like the chicken mayonnaise and cucumber arugula salad to fresh, balanced dishes like everything bagel salmon and truffle chive potatoes and green beans, all made with quality ingredients, and there's something for whatever you have a taste for. Marley Spoon has tons of options in their marketplace, from meal shortcuts and drinks to fresh groceries that you can add on each week. And for those nights where you need dinner ASAP, Marley Spoon's prepared meals are exactly what they sound like: convenient, delicious, and on the table in minutes. This is a lifesaver for me if I have a lot of studying to do, a long day, and I just don't feel like cooking. You'll find these on every weekly menu, and if you've got a few extra minutes, they have some great 20-minute options too. My personal favorite hack is those tray baked dinners. You literally just throw everything on one tray, boom, you're done. And they even include the actual tray. My favorite meal from Marley Spoon was this falafel pita. I was in the middle of cooking and organizing things for the new year, and I was hungry. I wanted something fresh, wanted something fast. And the falafel pita was perfect. It was done in 20 minutes. And what was even better is it's husband proof. My husband is not a great cook whatsoever, but he was able to make it, and it was delicious thanks to their easy to follow instructions. This year, fast track your way to eating well with Marley Spoon. Head to marleyspoon.com/offer/blessed for up to 25 free meals. That's right, up to 25 free meals with Marley Spoon. That's marleyspoon.com/offer/blessed for up to 25 free meals. And it's not just about our intentions, but it's about our impact as well. So you don't want to intend to use these tools for good and to help take some things off your plate and end up making it your God unintentionally. You don't want to do that. You want to use wisdom. And wisdom means using caution or proceeding with caution and using restraint as you're engaging with these tools. Because zeal will have you way down a rabbit hole on here. Man, God told me to start a business. What do I do next? And then it starts telling you, oh, great, especially ChatGPT. ChatGPT will be like, whoa, that's wonderful. How amazing it is that you decided to start a business. Man, and the Lord told you that? You are going to be fantastic. Like, it'll spend the first 2 paragraphs hyping you up. And then it'll be like, okay, first you need to do this. Step 1, M dash. Step 2, step 3. And you just going through it. Oh, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And set up a Shopify. Oh, yes, I'm going to go and apply for this loan for startup costs. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I'm going to start this social media page and I'm going to go to this vendor. You done went and did the whole thing without even consulting the Lord because zeal done sent you down the rabbit hole. And because these platforms are at their core learning you to give you what you want, its job is to appease your flesh. And so now you have put something on a pedestal who wants to just feed you what your flesh wants. And you have minimized the voice of the Holy Spirit that's trying to reroute you back to your place of dependency. So we have to be mindful when we engage with these platforms and understand that their foundation, remember, is to learn us, to learn our behaviors, to send us what we like, what we want, what tastes good, what feels good. It appeases our flesh. And any time you allow that too much influence, it will be destructive every single time. So as Christians, as Christian entrepreneurs, we engage with these tools. We understand the times, but we use it with wisdom. That's why I say that it's problematic for you to say, oh, I don't like AI, and you just ignore it. Because by you ignoring it and refusing to understand, not only are you just making yourself oblivious to where the world is going, but you're also robbing yourself from the opportunity to have wisdom on how to use it responsibly, and not just ethically responsible, but spiritually responsible as well. Because if you don't take the time to understand the foundations of how AI works, you wouldn't even realize that its makeup and design is to appease your flesh. And if you are so obsessed with it and love it so much because of the convenience that it provides, you also don't take the time to do your research. We have to be neutral. Neutrality doesn't just apply to when we're engaging with the Lord. It applies to everything. Neutrality allows us to be sensitive to the Holy Spirit. So when we're not moved to either side of the spectrum when it comes to engaging with AI, then we can learn about it objectively and realize, oh, you're just studying me to give me what I want. Thanks, but no thanks. I have to keep you at bay, use you for what you're useful for, but not at the expense of my posture and positioning of dependency on the Holy Spirit, or not at the expense of me just getting sucked into wanting to please my flesh. Because it's a slippery slope. AI is great for providing false confirmation and for filling in gaps that you believe the Lord has left. If you're praying for something and the Lord hasn't answered you, it can be tempting to then go and use technology to fill in that gap and answer those questions. It's tempting, but you have to resist it. It is tempting, instead of waiting on the Lord, to then go and figure it out on our own. AI provides a great way to fill our need for self-reliance and self-fulfillment. Again, it is a slippery slope. And as Christians, we have to be mindful of that so that we can engage with wisdom. Now that we've gotten that out the way, something exciting that I want to point your attention to when it comes to AI is that there are a lot of advantages and opportunities specifically for us as Christian entrepreneurs. Because AI has gotten so good, I have seen AI movies that I didn't even know was AI. I thought they were regular actors and actresses. I've seen AI influencers that are doing skincare routines and get ready with me's, and they're not even real. There was even an AI actress who won some type of one of those awards that actors and actresses get. It's crazy how good it is. The video quality, the audio, it is very hard. It is getting harder now to be able to tell AI from real. And to the point now where there's regulation where they, meaning lawmakers, are trying to make it mandatory for these platforms to have AI markers on videos so that it is able to be distinguished from something that is real, because it's becoming that hard to tell. And this can feel discouraging in some ways, but for entrepreneurs, I think that this is an exciting time. And here's why. Studies are showing that the market is rewarding authentic human-led content over polished perfection. Consumers are preferring genuine, relatable content. Hear me out. A price of entry that has stifled so many people from being thought leaders. Y'all know there's a difference, and we are thought leaders around here, not content creators. But there are a lot of people who have shied away from starting their podcasts or creating whatever the Lord has called you to create or showing up online at all because you may not have the aesthetic, the visuals, you may not have things all polished and together the way that at one time the marketplace required. But now, because AI makes everything so polished and perfect and looking so amazing, people are tired of it. It's called AI slop now, where people are getting fatigued with seeing everything look so perfect. So now, those of us who the Lord has called into the marketplace, who may not have all the funding to do things perfectly and shiny and polished, can now come on here as real and authentic as we are and stand out. The market has made room for the everyday imperfect person to come on and present whatever it is that you have to present to the world. I think that that's exciting. That you don't have that barrier of entry anymore to buy the cameras and pay all the money for all the things. You can just show up as you, and the market is shifting to want to see that. Studies are showing that many consumers want real people and real stories, not just slick videos or fancy production. Surveys find that 62% of Gen Z prefer brands that produce authentic and relatable content. And a striking 84% trust brands more when they feature actual customers in their ads. So you know what that means for those of you who want to create online and get paid for it? You don't have to create these TV level commercials because people are tired of it. The audience wants real. The audience wants regular. And studies are showing that authenticity is becoming a premium. New industry trends are showing that consumers are now signaling strong interest in human-led storytelling, emotional connection, and credible reporting, even as AI-generated videos become more common. Studies are showing that people want more depth and not sterile perfection. So research on visual content shows that consumers often react and engage more positively to photos with imperfections. So like slightly grainy shots, because those images feel more emotional and they resonate and they feel more trustworthy than flawless. Isn't that exciting? I don't know about y'all, but that's exciting to me. When I first started out creating a podcast, one of the reasons I chose this platform is because it was audio only. I like to be able to show up and it's just my voice. Right now I'm recording this. I got on a big t-shirt, some leggings, my UGG slippers, and a bonnet on. You can't see me. I didn't have to come up here and have my makeup done and all of that to be able to record this perfect video, and I'm changing up my backdrop to be able to make it look a certain type of way. I don't have to do that, and I didn't want to have to do that. Because when I started this 9 years ago, this is where like Instagram was really getting traction. This is when people were taking photos in front of cars that weren't theirs because they was trying to fake it till they make it. I didn't want to do that. And so one of my levels of frustration as the podcast industry has evolved over the last 9 years for me has been like, man, I don't want to do these videos. Because once video started emerging in podcasting, it started off as like these TV productions. And it drove me crazy, especially because as celebrities entered the podcasting market, they created this standard that's unrealistic. They infiltrated a medium that regular people were able to grow on, and they raised the standards in a way that was very unrealistic for the everyday person who was creating to keep up with. And it was understandable on one end that they want to have some autonomy and control over their brand, and so they started these podcasts. I get it. But for me, it was frustrating because I'm like, I am not going to try to create this big visual production in order to keep up. One, it's going to cut into my bottom line. I'm going to make less money because I have to spend more now. It's going to create the extra time and effort that I have to put into all the visuals, team that I have to hire. I was so frustrated by it. And it's been like a thorn in my side for the last few years because I'm like, man, this is where the industry is going. I'm very firm that I'm not willing to compromise how I show up. I'm not willing to do all of that in order for me to be successful in this space. And so it's exciting for me to see that as things are changing, it's okay if I just pop up with my microphone at home. It's okay if I show up without my makeup on. You'll never see me on the internet in my bonnet. We're not going that far. But you will see me with no makeup on a lot of the times and a t-shirt on, just chilling in my office with my microphone. I'm cool with that. And the audience wants that. They want the real. It doesn't have to be a 4K camera. They're okay if it's 780, which is a lower quality. It's okay because people are getting tired of that flawless, polished look. They want real, they want truth, they want connection. So for those of you who feel like, man, I don't say everything the right way, I don't write or communicate everything the perfect way, I don't have the best marketing. If you are honest, if you connect with your audience, and if you show up in full truth, the audience wants that. There's a space that is being created for that. I hope if you're one of those people who haven't jumped out there and launched and created what the Lord has called you to for this reason, I hope that you're getting encouraged. I hope that you're realizing that now is the perfect time to release, to record, to launch. Now is the perfect time to do so without having it all together because the people are tired of all together and they want connection. They want real. And for those of you who may be tempted to use AI to be more efficient at the cost of connection, this is a warning. Don't do that. Times where you can communicate with your customers, do so. Times you can engage with your audience, do so. Don't rely on AI too much that it removes that human connection because people want that too. So we talked about using AI for labor and not revelation. So what kind of labor, right? Using AI for marketing and content creation, for one, is one of the biggest cost reducers. It could reduce copywriting for basic drafts, whether it's emails, whether it's captions, whether it's video descriptions, whether it's SEO. AI can replace and reduce the time and cost that goes into that. It can replace the time and cost that goes to video editors. I use AI to chop up my videos all the time, especially when it comes to creating clips for my clients or my own podcast. You save money with graphic designers for like everyday assets that you need, especially if you already have your brand created in a nice brand guide. You could upload it to an AI software and give it the prompt to adhere to your brand guide so it stays consistent with everything that you're putting out online. It saves you money on ad testing costs. There's so many platforms that will show you the best way to have your ad spend when it comes to paid advertising online. Data is saying that marketers using AI reports are saving 10 to 15 hours per week, which is an equivalent of an extra workday and nearly $5,000 per month in marketing costs due to automation and faster content production. Studies also show that marketing is one of the top business functions seeing measurable cost reductions from AI adoption. So instead of paying for all of the writings that have to be done in your business or all the graphics, you can now generate those first drafts, those flyers, those different marketing materials. You can do it right within these AI systems. And you can do it in a way to where it doesn't look like AI did it. That's a whole nother class on how to make sure that your prompts and everything is set up to where AI is producing quality work that is specific to your needs. So it's not replacing, marketing people altogether, but it is replacing a lot of these upfront startup costs and these operational costs that you spend on marketing activities. So this is how you want to use the technology that's out there. You could also use it for different customer support and client communication. Now, again, maintain the connection, but some of the more standardized communication can be delegated to different AI tools. So different basic inquiries, if you have people who ask the same few things all the time, you can have something that takes care of that. If you go to like a lot of websites and they have like a little chat box that says, what do you need help with? And they probably name their AI person something to make it look like it's somebody for real. And you could type in, how do I blah, blah, blah. And it'll probably walk you through the answers before you even get to a real person. A lot of times stuff just can be taken care of automatically, and you should. This allows people to get that instant gratification and get their needs met quicker. And it saves you time from having to handle every single problem. Again, make sure, though, that you find ways to still connect with your audience, though. That can be through different, let's say, dedicated emails that you send out that are written 100% by you. Maybe there's some live streams or different type of content that you do specifically for your audience. Maybe it's you respond to all of your social media posts, whatever. Find ways to maintain the connection, but any type of just standardized communication can easily be, or any type of just operations, admin, and back office work can easily be taken care of by AI. And that will make you a lot more efficient. That will save you a lot more money, and that will allow you to spend a lot less time. And it'll also save you from a lot of mistakes that you might have made should you have been doing everything on your own. So those are just some ideas on how you can use it for labor. But remember, as Christian entrepreneurs, keep top of mind what AI means for us. We use it for labor and not revelation. This is the perfect time for us to just launch, create, and release what God has called you to do without it being perfect, because the market is making room for it. And again, find those ways that you can offload some of the time and money on things that these tools could really be used for. And I'm thinking maybe, I don't know if we should do a class or something that we can go into a lot more detail, because we don't have time. We're already at 50 minutes to go into like specific platforms for what. And I think that's more of a visual thing to kind of go through the back end of some of these platforms. So I'm going to think about some ways that we can maybe provide some type of training in this area, if possible, because we may not, but if possible, I'm going to think about it and see. But I pray that this episode blessed you. I pray that it educated you, and I pray that it gave you wisdom on how to continue to keep up with the times, but in a way to where you're operating from wisdom and not allowing what's happening in today's time to pull you into pleasing your flesh. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Blessed and Bossed Up podcast, and I'll see you in the next one.